So last class, I believe we have discussed pop-up windows, right? So in continuation to that, let us see how to exchange data between two applications. How to exchange the data between what? Two different Webdynpro applications. Okay, so to exchange the data between two views of same application, we know we have two techniques. One is maintaining the context at component level and mapping it to source view and what target view. Another is by using what plug parameters. Outbound plug will have export parameter, inbound plug will have import parameters. Okay, now I need to exchange the data between views across the applications. So this is a requirement. So in the application one, okay, I have to enter what customer number. Okay, after pressing enter key in the customer number input field, check for existence of what sales orders for the entered customer. If the sales orders are there, you have to pass this customer number to the second application in which display the corresponding sales orders. So customer number should be passed to second application as part of what? URL. So I repeat once again, when I enter customer number and press enter, we have to check whether the entered customer has got any what sales orders. If at least one sales order is there, then you have to pass this customer number to the second application through what URL. Second application will contain what URL. So whenever the second application is about to load in the new browser window, second application should read the customer number coming from what first application. Based on that, it has to display the sales order. So obviously this is a table. We require what a node here. Okay, so this is the overall requirement. Data transfer between what two Webdynpro application. Data transfer between two views across what Webdynpro application. So this is the overall requirement. So let's see how to implement this. Right? Okay. Right. So let's focus on the first view here. I require input field. So what is the context I require? Input field can own only what? Single value. So I require what? Attribute. So this attribute, this context I'll directly create at what? Source view level in the source application. So let me log on. Okay. Right from the drop down, I'll choose what? Webdynpro component. I'll give the component name Z10AM WD 11. 11 is already done. 13 is also done. 14. Okay, so I'm trying to create my source component. So in the source component, what I am going to pass? Customer number. So I'll give the window name as underscore what? Window. View name is what? I'll give it as what? View 1. Okay, continue. I'll choose local object. Right, so Webdynpro component is created. Now what I have to do, I have to create a view. That view should contain one context here. So already the view is there. For in this view, I'll create the context first. Right, this is the view. Now in this view, I'll create the view context. I'll create an attribute. I'll give the attribute name as something CST number, type what? Customer number, continue. CST number, type customer number. Done. Okay. So now I have to create what? Layout. So I'll go to view layout. What is the layout I require? One input field and one label. So I'll right click on the root element container, insert element. I'll give the name as something IP1. Type is what? Input field. Already we know for input field you have to set what? Value property. So I'll set the value property. I'll bind with what? The only attribute CST number. And what is the requirement here? When you press enter key, I have to pass this. So whenever you press enter key in the input field, what is the event triggered? On enter. Right? So I'll associate what? On enter event. I'll provide the action name. What you have to do here? I'll give the action name as read underscore what? Read underscore pass underscore what? Customer number. Okay, so read and pass what? Customer number. So this is my action name. Read underscore pass underscore customer number is the action name. Done. Then as usual for the input field we require a label kind of thing. You'll get a warning here. Tooltip or label is not set for the input field, so I'll set the create the label here. Insert element, I'll give the name as lv1. Type is what? Label. For this label, I'll give the label for as what? IP1. Text, I'll give it as customer number. Text is customer number. Then I'll just interchange the position. Done. Okay, and by default this view will be plugged to the window. Done, it is plugged. Okay, now I have to handle which event? On enter event. So let me write the logic for on enter event, or before that let me create the application. Create Webdynpro application. I'll give the application name as underscore what? app 14. Let me save it. Activate your component. I'll put it in display mode. Right click on the component and say activate. Right, it's activated. view 1 is active, window is also active. Done. Let me execute this. Right click on the application and say test. Yeah, I got the customer number. Okay, so here after entering the customer number, when I press what, enter. Okay, I pressed the F4 here, so I'm getting the F4L, but you have to press what, enter. When I press enter, I have to check whether this customer has got any what, sales orders. If the sales orders are there, then you have to pass this customer number to the second application. That is what you have to do. So I'm getting the F4L pair. Let me just cancel this. Is it clear? We can suppress this standard F4L and we can associate what, our own F4L. That will select on. Let me cancel this. Okay, done. Right. So let me go back here. So I'll write the logic for what, on enter event. So I'll go back to the view. Already we assigned the action for that on enter event. So I'll go to action tab. Yeah. First, you have to read what? The customer number entered. So read the customer number what entered. So customer is what type? Kunnar na? Instead of referring to that Kunnar, already we know in the local interface we'll have one type what? Element underscore context. Inside that we have the individual attribute what? CST number. So I'll refer to that. So here data what, LV underscore customer number type WD underscore this of what, element underscore context hyphen CST number. I have to read the value of that attribute, which is under what, root. So get attribute by using what, WD context. So I'll go to pattern, above objects pattern, WD context. What is the interface? If WD context node get underscore what, get underscore attribute. Okay, so name, I'll give the name as what, customer number. Name as, oh, sorry, what is the name of the attribute? CST number. CST number. So name is, again, instead of giving that, let me check any declaration is there for the attribute. No declaration, only for node you'll have it. There is no declaration related to what, attribute. Anywhere do we have? No. No. So I'll say, what is the attribute name? CST number, importing value equal to what, LV underscore customer number. Then I'll say if LV underscore customer number is what, not initial, do so and so. Else what I have to do? I have to give a message to enter what, to enter the customer number. So what is that you have to do? Already we know. Get the what, reference of what, already we know, right? Get the reference of what, WD component. Okay, how to get the reference? Here we have what, IG underscore component controller. In that we have what, WD get API. What is the method? WD, what is the return type? If WD component. So data O underscore CMP type ref2 if underscore WD underscore what, component O underscore CMP equal to, I have to call the method of a component controller. What is the object of that? WD comp controller. So I'll say WD underscore comp underscore controller of what, WD underscore get underscore what, API. Done. If O underscore CMP is what, bound, right? What you have to do? Get the reference of what, message manager. So data O underscore MSG underscore manager type ref2. What is the interface? If underscore WD underscore message manager. Since it is a global interface, I can use pattern. I'll go to pattern. What is the object I got in the previous step? O underscore CMP, if underscore WD underscore what? Component. What is the method I have to call? Get message manager. Where is that? Get message manager. I'm calling that get message manager. Done. It returns me object of that interface. I'll receive it inside what? O underscore msg underscore mng. Okay, then again what? If O underscore mng underscore manager is what? Bound, what you have to do? Flash what? Yes, error message. Flash the error message. Right, you have to flash the error message. So I'll go to pattern. What is this? O underscore msg underscore manager, if underscore wd underscore message manager. What is the method I have to use? What is the message I have to use? Report what? Error message. Report error message. I'll give the message text. What is that? Please enter what? Customer number. Please enter customer number. I don't require anything. That's it. Okay. So if it is not initial, you have to do something else. Else, you have to flash the message. So I'm getting the reference of Webdynpro component. If the component is bound, get the reference of what? Message manager. If the message manager object is available, if it is bound, we are flashing the error message. So let's check it. I've activated that. Let me refresh. Activate the entire component once. Right. When I refresh, right, I'm not entering anything. I'll press enter. Yeah, I got in red color. Please enter what? Customer number. So I'll enter 1000 here. I'll press enter again. It is gone. Okay, done. So now what I have to do? Whether the entered customer is having what? At least one sales order. Unnecessarily, I should not call the second application. If at least one sales order is there, I have to so check what? Check what? Existence of what? At least one what? Sales order. So I'll say data what? LV underscore weblen type what? Type what? Weblen. Select single. What is this? Weblen from VBAK into what? LV underscore weblen. Right? Where what? Kunnar is equal to what? LV underscore what? Kunnar. Where Kunnar equal to LV underscore Kunnar. Okay? Done. Then what I have to do if what? Size of R is equal to 0. What? Hmm? If size of R is equal to 0, you have to pass the customer number. Else what I have to do? Here I have to say what? Message to indicate what? No what? Sales orders. Message to indicate no sales orders. So what I'll do is this part getting the reference of Webdynpro component, getting the reference of what? What? Message manager. This is common for both the things. So I'll remove it from here. I'll keep it on the top. Am I clear? So I'm getting the reference of what? Webdynpro component. If COMP is bound, we are getting the reference of what? Message manager. Done and if I'll close it here. Then afterwards I'm reading what? Customer number done. If it is not initial, okay, in the else part, if bound, I'm flashing the error message. Done, 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 done. Okay. If size of R is equal to 0, if it is no sales orders, what I have to do? Again, what? If O underscore msg underscore manager is what? What? Bound. What I have to do? I have to give some warning message kind of thing that there are no what? Sales order. So I'll go for what is the message? I should go report, not error message. I'll go for warning message. Report what? Warning. Report warning. Message text, I'll give it as something what? No sales orders. No sales orders. Else statement not allowed. Why? Let me check. This is for first if case. Okay, I'm getting this. This is absolutely fine here. We are closing there. Then again, we are entering the customer number. If the customer number is not entered, if the customer number is not entered, yeah, I gave it fine here. Okay, so I'm just closing the appropriate if blocks. This is more readable, right? I'm using the pretty printer. Done. Let me execute now. I'll say F5. I'm not entering anything. I'll press enter. Please enter customer number. Done. I'll give 1004. I'll press enter. Yeah, what happened? No sales orders. Might be it is not there. I'll give 1001. Might be it is having what? Sales orders. I'll give 1003. No sales orders. Done. I'll give 1002. Yes, it is having the sales orders. Done. So working fine. So now hope it's clear to everyone. Okay. So if size of bar is equal to 0 means what? What you have to do? We have to pass this customer number as part of the target URL. So far how you are creating the Webdynpro application? You are right clicking on the application. You are saying create what? Webdynpro application. This is we are creating the application in the design time. Now we have to create the application in the runtime. When the entered customer has got at least what? One sales order, you have to construct the URL of what? Target application. So if size of r is equal to 0, what you have to do? Construct URL of what? Target application. Am I clear? You have to construct the URL of target application. How do we construct means? Online hope it's clear to everyone. Right. So how do we construct the URL of target application is there are some utility classes given by SAP. If you go to class builder, we have a class called as CL underscore WD underscore what? Utilities. CL underscore WD underscore utilities. Okay. Let me check what are the properties here. It is a public class. What is the description? General Webdynpro functionality. In this class, there is a method here. Yeah, what is this method? Construct Webdynpro what? URL. Construct Webdynpro. It's a static public method. How do you call the static methods? I can call by using what? Class name. Since it is public, I can call it outside. What is the description? Creates a Webdynpro URL using what? Application name. Check the signature of this. I'll put the cursor, go to parameters. Yeah. What are the mandatory parameters? You have to give what? Application name. What is the current application name? Z10AMWD14 underscore what? APP. So what would be the target application name? Z10AMWD15 underscore what? APP. That's all now. Okay, I'll give that application. Z10AM underscore W underscore APP 15 underscore APP. What does it do? All are optional here. Yeah. It is returning a URL. It is returning what? URL of type what? string absolute URL including the log host and what port number. So I'll import this parameter type what, string. So what I have to do now, it is going to return me what URL lv underscore what URL type what string. So I'll use a pattern. What is the class cl underscore wd underscore what utilities. What is the method I need to call? Construct Webdynpro URL. Okay, exporting. What is the application name I would give? I'm going to create z 10 am wd 15 15 underscore what app. Okay, and it returns me importing, it returns me the overall URL. I'll receive that in a local variable what lv underscore what URL. Done. So I'll get the URL of the target application to this only na? Right. Done. Okay, so if you observe here, I'll put the breakpoint. When I refresh, right, I'll enter 1002. I'll press enter. On enter event is what triggered. Yeah, it is going to the debugging mode. Now in the debugging mode, you can observe we are trying to check whether at least one sales order is available or not. So if you see this LV Weblen, yes, I got one sales order now. So what is the meaning? At least one sales order is not available. Okay, now if you see the URL, what is the URL contains? It's a combination of what? Protocol, host name, port number, namespace, working directory, and what application name. So when I say F6, yes, it is constructing the URL with a combination of protocol, host name, that is domain name, port number, okay, namespace, and the application name. Yes, what is the application name? Z10MWD15 underscore what? App. So now at the end of this URL, I have to what? What I have to do? I have to append my customer number. At the end of the URL, I have to append the customer number. Where is the customer number stored? LV underscore what? Kunnar. You have to append it to what? End of the URL. Okay. Any questions so far? Hmm? Right. Now I'll say if what? LV underscore URL is what? Not initial. Okay. If it is not initial, what I have to do now? I have to append what? Customer number to what? To end of what? URL. Okay. So URL contains combination of all those things. Okay. Now how do we append means? Again, we have another class CL underscore http underscore what server cl underscore http underscore server. Okay, in this class, what is this class? It is a protected class. I cannot create the objects. Okay, but this class contains one static methods here. What is this? Append underscore field underscore what? Your static public means what? I can call it by using what? I can access it by using what? Class name. Okay, what is the description? Appends a given name value, appends a given name value to the query string of what? URL. Okay, check the parameters. What does it do? Yes, it takes a name as what? When you're appending, you have to give some name for the field. You have to give the name. Then value is also what? Mandatory. Type what? String. And URL is a changing parameter. Type what? String. So let me try to do that. So here I'll say, I'll call the pattern. What is the class? CL underscore HTTP underscore what? Server. What is the method name? Append underscore field underscore what? URL. Append underscore field underscore URL. Okay. So I'll just call this method appends a given name value to the query string of what? URL. So I'll just use this. Right. So here if you observe name, you can give any name. I'll give the name as what? Some unique identification. Okay. I'll give the name as what? C number. C number. Value. Where is the customer number available? Customer number is available in the field what? LV underscore what? Kunnar. Changing URL is equal to what? LV underscore URL. Let me check whether it works or not. Understood? So while appending the value, you have to assign some unique name. What is the unique name I'm assigning? C number. Anything. Let me check whether it will get any syntax error. Acha. LV Kunnar is not compatible with the formal parameter what? Value. What is this parameter type here? Value is what type? String. But in our case, we are passing customer number which is of type what? Kunnar. Which is of type Kunnar. So it is not recognizing that. So what I'll do is, I'll take one temporary variable, temp underscore Kunnar, type what? String. Here I'll say temp underscore Kunnar is equal to what? LV underscore Kunnar. Understood? I'm assigning that Kunnar to what? A variable of type what? String, and I'll pass that variable. What is this? Temp underscore Kunnar. So let me check it now. Is it clear? So the value will be appended at the end of the URL and along with the name. What is the name I'm giving here? C number. So let me debug this. I'll put the breakpoint here. Done. So when I refresh, I'll enter 1001. I'll press enter. It will go to the debugging mode. Done. Yes, I'm trying to construct the URL. When I say F6, yes, I got the URL. See the content of the URL. Yeah, up to application name we are having. Now we are assigning that to what? A temporary variable. Temp underscore Kunnar. Yes, we are assigning. What is that customer number? 1001. This 1001 should be appended to what? Yes, end of the URL. So for that I have to use a method what? What? Append underscore field underscore what? URL. So I'm calling the pattern. Sorry, I'll say F6 now. With what name we are appending? C number. When I say F6, done. Check the URL now. Done. See here? At the end, question mark, what is this? C number, what is the value? 1001. Done. Am I clear? So we are able to what? Append. And you have to call the application. Na? You have to call a new window. You have to call a new browser window where I have to display that particular application. Last class only we have seen that. How to display a view in a model window. But that is a model window. Here it is what? Browser window. Separate browser window. So what I'll do now here? Yes, after appending what you will do? If or directly I'll say I'm appending the customer number to what? End of what? URL. Then what you have to do here? You have to get the reference of the browser window. Na? Already we got the reference of what? Component. Na? Already we got the reference of component. So here only I'll say what? Get the what? Reference of what? Window manager. Already we have discussed data O underscore window underscore manager type ref2. What is the interface? If underscore W underscore what? Window underscore manager. I'll use the pattern. Yeah. What is the object O underscore CMP? If underscore WD component. What is the method name? Get, or let me browse this. Get underscore window underscore what? Manager, which returns a reference of window manager. I will receive it inside what? O underscore win underscore what? Manager. Done. Okay. Then if o underscore win underscore manager is what? Bound. Okay, if it is bound, what I have to do? If it is bound, what you have to do? Get the reference of what? New browser what? Window. Okay, so if you go to this window manager interface, check this. What is the interface? If wd component. In this, what is the method I called? Get window manager, which returns a reference of what? Window manager interface. In this window manager, in the last class, I called what? Create what? Window for model pop-up. Now there is something what? Create external window. Creates what? New browser. It's an instance method. How do you call it? By using the object. Already I got the object. What is the signature of this? It takes what? URL. Already we are in the URL. Done. And the other things are near what? Optional. It returns reference of what interface? Window. So here I'll say data what? O underscore window type ref to what? If underscore w underscore what? Window. I'll use a pattern. What is this? O underscore window underscore manager. What is the interface? Window manager. What is the method I have to call? Get browser window. Where is that? Sorry, create what? External window. Yeah, URL. What is the URL? lv underscore URL window reference. What is this? O underscore what? Win. Okay. Then if what? O underscore win is what? Bound. So this window is associated with what URL? 15th URL. So after getting the reference of this window, right? After receiving this reference, if you go to this last class, we have called what method? Open method. Here also I'll call what? Open the what? New browser window with target application. Am I clear? So I'll just say what? O underscore win of what? Open. That's it. Am I clear to everyone? I'm keeping on writing the code. I don't know how many of you are understanding. Is it clear? Just calling the methods only. In the sequence you have to go. Okay. So save it, check it, activate this. So I'll explain once again. So what you are doing now, whenever you press enter customer when you after entering the customer, when you press enter, what is the event triggered? On enter. Initially I'm getting the reference of window component. Then if it is bound, I'm getting the reference of what? Message manager. Okay. Then we are reading the customer number. Done, 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 done. Okay. If the sales orders are available for that customer, we are constructing the URL for what? Target application. Okay, if the URL is successfully constructed, we are passing that URL to the end of the, we are appending the customer number to the end of the URL. How to append it? In this class, we have a method what? Append underscore field underscore what? URL. With what name we are appending? C number. Then, since you have to open that, show that target application in the new window, I am getting the reference of window manager. Using that reference, I am getting the reference of what? Browser window by calling which method? Create external window, which takes what? URL as input and returns a window reference. Using that window reference, I am opening the new browser window. That's it. I should get a runtime error now because I don't have the target application now. We have not yet created that. So when I refresh, I'll press enter. Please enter customer number. I'll enter 1004. No sales orders. I'll give 1002. Right. So before I press enter, see the URL. Control C. This is before I pressed what? Enter. Now I'll press enter here. Right. I'll press enter. Here I'll press enter. Oh, I'm not getting any runtime error. Why? Any change in the URL? No change. Why we are not getting any runtime error? Let me cross check here. What is this? I'll put the breakpoint. 1002. I'll press enter. Yes, it is going there. Done. I'm trying to construct the URL. Yes, I got the what URL up to what application name. If it is not initial, I'm appending the data to that. Is it appended? Yes, C number equal to what so and so. Done. Then I'm trying to get the window reference. Yes, I got it. If it is bound, I'm trying to what create what new external window. Yes, I got it. Okay, got it. Then I'm trying to what open. If it is bound, I'm trying to open. Huh? I think no, no, it has blocked the what pop-up. So I'll do one thing. Pop-ups are temporary. Allowed. Now I think you'll get the issue. I'll press enter. Okay, done. I'll give what 1002. Done. It is going to what debugging mode. Done. I'm constructing the URL. Done. I'm appending the data. Done. Appended. Yes, got appended now 1002. I'm getting the reference of window manager. Yes, I got the reference. Then I'm getting the reference of the external window. Yes, I got it. Now I'm trying to what? Open, which is not available, right? I'll say F8. Good. What happened? The website cannot display the page because the target is not available. Okay, so if you see the URL here, it is changing, right? So why we are getting that runtime error? Because it is not available. So now we are done with the source application. Now we have to concentrate on what target application. Any questions in the source application, please ask. Done. Now let us design the target application. Fourteen is my source. I'll go for what 15. I'll give the window name as underscore window. Let me give the view name as what v1. So whenever the target application is loaded, it will try to load this view now. Whenever the view is loaded, what is the first method called? WD do init na. So in the WD do init only, you have to read the logic to read the customer number coming from URL and then get the sales orders and bind it with the table. So I require a context node here na. For table I require what context node. Let us construct that particular context node. So I'll go to VBAK context. I click on the context, create what note, VBAK note. What is the structure? ZC VBAK cardinality is what 0 to n, and I'll add the attributes from the structure. Let me add all the attributes. I'm adding all the attributes. Done. Okay, done. Let me design the layout with the table. I'll choose VBA note. Continue. Done. Okay, so it is created. Then okay, done. If you want, give the sales what? Sales orders. Okay. Now you have to implement which method? WD do init method, because that is the first method called whenever the view is what? Loaded. So what you have to do now is we have to read the customer number coming from the browser window. Now we are coming from the browser window URL. So first step is get the reference of what? Get the reference of browser window. So how do you get the reference? Again, we have a class cl underscore wdr underscore what? Task. Okay, cl underscore wdr underscore task. Webdynpro runtime task. What is this class? It's a private class. Webdynpro runtime class. In this class, oh, there are no methods. Huh? Yeah, there is an attribute. What is this here? Client window. What is this? Static public. So I can access by using what? Class. It's an attribute. What does it do? Read only means what? It is going to return. Read only means going to return. It is returning the object of which class? CLWDR what? Client window. It returns the object of what? CLWDR client window. Webdynpro client window. So I have to receive that object of type what? CLWDR client window. So I'll say data o underscore client underscore window type ref2 CLWDR client window o underscore client underscore window is equal to, right? How do we access the static methods? By using what? Class name cl underscore w and task implies static attribute. Na? What is the static attribute name? Client underscore. If it is a method, I would have given brackets. It's not a method, it's a attribute. It's a attribute. Client underscore window is a attribute, not a method. Okay, so read only selected means what? It is going to return. Whenever we access this attribute, it is going to return me object of which class? CLWDR what? Client window. That's what I did here. I got the, where is it? I got the reference of the client window. Now what I'll do, if what? O underscore client underscore window is what? If it is bound, if it is bound, I have to read the data from that browser window URL, na? Right? For adding the data, we are using append field from URL. So in this class, if you go to the CLWDR client window, there is a method called as something get parameter, I think. Yeah. What is this? Get param instance public method. How do we access? By using the object. What is the signature of this? It takes the name as input, returns what? String as what? Value. So as usual, what I'll do now? Read what? Customer number from where? From URL. So I'll declare one string variable data lv underscore what? Kunnar. Type what? String. I'll use a pattern, right? So what is the class? What is the object? O underscore client window. What is the class? CL underscore WDR underscore client underscore window. This previous one. What is the method name? Get parameter. Get parameter. Get underscore parameter. Name. What is the, with what name we are uploading the C number? Huh? What is the name? C number. So I'll say name is equal to what? C number. Value I'll receive in my local variable what? LV underscore Kunnar. Done. Then here I'll say if what? LV underscore Kunnar is what? Not initial, right? If it is not initial, if the customer number is not initial, what I have to do? Get what? Sales orders for what? Customer. Okay, so I require internal table data T underscore VBAK type what? W under this part is simple. W underscore this of what? Elements underscore what? VBAK node. That's what the node I created now, VBAK node. Based on this, you'll have the declaration. So then select what? VBLN, ERDAT, ERZDT, ERNAM from VBAK into table. What is the internal table? T underscore VBAK, where customer number equal to what? The imported customer number. LV underscore Kunnar. If what? Size of bar is equal to 0, what I have to do? If size of bar is equal to 0, what I have to do? I have to bind. For binding, you have to get the reference of the node. Na? So get the reference of the node. Which node? VBAK underscore node. So I'll declare it locally because I don't require it any other place. Context underscore VBAK node type ref to what? If underscore W underscore what? Context underscore node. I'll use the pattern above objects pattern. Right? What is the object? What is the root? WD underscore context. If WD context node, get what? Child node. Get child node name. The name of this is what? WD underscore this of what? WD context underscore VBAK underscore node receiving. What is this? Context underscore VBAK underscore node. Done. Then at the last I'll say if context underscore VBAK underscore what? Node is what? Is bound. What I have to do? Bind what? Sales orders. Bind the sales orders. So I'll say context underscore VBAK underscore node of what? What? Bind underscore what? Table. What is the internal table name? Hmm? Where you are getting? T underscore what? VBAK. AK. Sales orders. No? Done. So simple. The main thing is this part. You have to get the reference of the browser window. How to get the reference? By using a class, by using a static method, you'll get the reference. Well, not method, attribute. This is a static attribute. When you access that static attribute, you'll get the reference of that window. Using that reference, what you have to do? You have to read the data from the URL. What is the field name in the URL? C number. I'll receive it, which is of type what? String. If it is not initial, we are getting the corresponding sales orders. If the sales orders are available, you have to get the reference of that node. Yes, I'm getting the reference. Then you have to bind the node. That's it. Check it. Activate this. Done. Oh, right. I need to create the application. Right. Let me create the application first. Right click on this. Create what? Webdynpro application. Application name you have to give what? Underscore what? Because they are also having the same thing. Right. Let me save it. Done. Let me activate this. Right click on the component and say activate. Right. I've activated. Done. Right. So now you have to execute which component? 14th. Na? Have to execute the 14th, not 15th. Okay. So 14 component. Let me just close everything. Right click on the 14 and say test. Customer number I'll give what? 1000. Right. I'll press enter. Or else I'll not enter anything. Press enter. Please enter what? Customer number. I'll give 1003. No sales orders. I'll give 1002. uh, the problem is what? Blocked, na? So I'll say hello once. Okay. Now I'll say 1002. Good. I got the. So this is a target application. This is a target application. Am I clear to everyone? What is the URL here? C number equal to what? 1002. So the main thing is how do we pass the data to the URL? That is, first you have to construct the URL, then you have to append that data to the URL by using what method? Append field URL. Then get the reference of what? Browser window. After getting the reference of browser window, what you have to do? You have to open that target application in the browser window. In the target application, you have to get the reference of the window by using a class what? CLWDR task. Okay. After getting the reference, we are reading the customer number from the URL by calling a method called as get what? Parameter. By using get parameter, once I get the data, I'm reading it. As of now, I'm just passing what? Only what? Customer number. But what as a practice, what you can do, you can create a form with what? Two fields. What is this? Username and what? Password. You have to pass what? Both the things. So how do you pass both the things here? You call that method twice. Append field URL is there, na? Where is that? In on enter. Yeah. At a time, I can append only what? One field. So you'll read the username, read the password. So after that, what you'll do here, append field URL method, I have to call what? Multiple times. First time I give C number. Again you call, you give a different name. Value is what? Password. Like this, I can pass what? N number of what? Fields. And there, how do you read it? For each parameter, you have to call separately what? Get parameter. That's it. Okay, so this is a way to exchange the data between what? Views. So in the entry point of view, how do we exchange the data between the views means we should ask whether within the same application or what across the application. If it is within the application, there are two what ways. One is maintaining the context at what component level and mapping it to what source view and what target view. That is one way. Other way is what? Through plug parameters. As part of source view outbound plug, we have to export the parameter which we can import through target view inbound plug. Okay. And if you want to share the data across the views in the source application view, we have to append the data to what target URL, and in the target application we have to read the data from what URL, and based on that you have to get the required data. Clear? So this is what we discussed, appending data to the URL. What is this? Navigating to what? External URL, appending fields to what? URL, and what? Reading fields from what? URL. Okay. So next topic would be what? This one. Component reusability. Done. So once we do this component reusability, we'll start using the standard components given by what? SAP. Okay, for F4, for ALV reporting, for select options, for all those things, we'll be using what? Standard Webdynpro components. Done. So, any questions for today? Please ask me. All of you are practicing?
Is there any other standard class other than passing single parameter every time? Is there any other methods or classes
No, no.
to import? No?
What you are saying is you want to pass multiple parameters.
Multiple.
No.
Yeah.
Because
No, no, okay.
simple understanding is SAP cannot predict how many parameters we have to pass, right? It can be one parameter or 1000 parameters. So they cannot frame a class. They cannot frame a class for dealing with what? Multiple. So multiple means there is no end. I may pass either 2 parameters or 20 parameters. That's why generally na, you'll not pass too many parameters. You'll not pass too many parameters. You'll pass only what? Few parameters. Generally you'll pass
No,
key
no, but
field. Key
in,
field.
in real-time examples, if we have multiple select options with
Hmm.
various parameters we want to pass,
Hmm.
then how we should do in that case? Like sales order, creation date, enter date, and some other sales
Okay.
document category,
Hmm.
select options, multiple options.
Yeah, yeah. If that is the case, what you have to do is, first of all, what you are saying is, what you are saying is, what the question is, this is a view. Here is going to enter what range of what? Range of what? Sales documents. Okay. So already we know select options itself is an internal table. Na? So first of all, we should know how to construct the select option in what? Webdynpro, and you have to read this. When you read this, this entire thing will come into single field only, na? Internal table only, na? Because select option itself is what? Internal table. So you'll export only this one. You'll export only this one. Means you'll export this only as what? One parameter. Am I clear? Because if I enter this 1000 and if I enter 1004, lower limit and upper limit will be captured in this particular internal table. So you'll call that method only once. Append field from URL. I'll pass that name and I'll pass this particular one. Okay. Then when you are reading there, you'll read it. After reading, what you have to do here? Where is that? The target application. Yeah. How do we read that parameter? Get parameter. Okay. Now this time it will be not read as a single value. It will be read as what? Internal table. So since it is an internal table, since you know that this is an internal table, you loop it. Loop what? This internal table, extract the low component, extract the high component, and then what? Based on that, you write the required logic.
Okay, so in that case also the same here, that method is same
Same,
for
same.
that internal table or same. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes. Because overall, this is a single variable only, na?
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But here the catch is like we need to convert into internal table again from
Correct, correct.
select options.
Yes, yes. From select option, you
That
have,
is the another.
yeah, other
Is there
way.
any method, sir?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay,
it's there. That we'll discuss.
okay.
One second. Is it there here? One second. Yeah. What is this? Select option implement. In our ABAP, it's very simple to construct what? Select option. Just if I use select option statement, it will generate me a selection screen with low and what? I field. But here we have to make use of the standard component called as, anyhow, that we'll discuss in the coming days. We have to use a standard Webdynpro component called as what? WDR underscore what? Select underscore options. This is the standard component given by what? SAP to deal with what? Select options functionality in what? Webdynpro. So in order to use this, first of all, we should know about component reusability. Before I use standard component given by SAP, first of all, we should know how to use our own component. So in this component, you'll have some controllers, you'll have some methods. By using that, we can read the data of that select options. Okay. Anyhow, this will come maybe in another 3 4 days once we complete what component reusability. Okay, done. So we are going in a sequence. See, the main thing you have to understand in Webdynpro is overall Webdynpro is how to work with what UI element. So how to work with UI element means every UI element will contain what? Some important property plus what? Some important event. So we know how to set the properties, how to implement the events. First of all, what you have to create? Context. Then based on the context, you'll design what? Layout. Or before creating the context, you have to visualize the layout. Then only you'll get what context you have to create. Once we create, we'll design the layout, then we'll bind the properties, all those things, then we'll implement the method. This is under element programming. Then we should know that miscellaneous concepts, what are they? Service call, what else? Supply function, assistance class. Understood? And how to work with pop-up windows, how to work with browser windows. Just now we have seen. Then we should know what plugs, how to exchange the data between views using what plugs. Then the next focus is what? How to include one component inside what? Another component. Just like we have include statement in our ABAP, here also we can include what? One Webdynpro component inside another Webdynpro component. That included component can be either a custom component or it can be what? Standard component. So that we'll be discussing. Then we should know how to do dynamic programming. Means so far how you are designing the layout, we are going to the layout tab, we are right click on the root element container and I am what? Creating the elements. But sometimes what customer will say, okay, he wants to make the elements visible, invisible, or enable or what? Disable. Depending on the user action, the appearance of the view should change. So that is done through what? Dynamic programming. In this dynamic programming only, we will see how do you create dynamic context, and we'll see how to create what? Dynamic layout. So far we are creating what? Static context and static layout, means in the design time, and in the runtime means you have to manage everything what? Dynamically. Then after this we should know how to use standard components. So in our normal ABAP also we have what? ALV reporting na? So we should know how to develop ALV reports, how to implement features in what? ALV reports, and what else? How to provide, how to suppress what? Standard F4 help, how to give our own F4 help, and what else? Just now, what is this? We should know how to implement what? Select option functionality. Then, after discussing all these things, what else is there? Main thing in Webdynpro? FPM, floor plan manager. So we have different types of floor plan that we'll discuss. Am I clear? So this is the overall this thing. Tomorrow we'll discuss with what? Component reusability. Okay. So last week whatever I have covered, I'll check what are the recordings I have converted. I'll try to share that recordings today for preview access. It will be available for next 1 week to 10 days. Go through that. Am I clear? Okay. This also, whatever class I covered today, after 2 3 days, I'll try to convert and I'll upload. Right? So, any further questions before I wind off? Done? Chalo then. So, we'll continue tomorrow.